So here we go. I told Judy, I said, it's been a minute since I've done this. I'm sure many of you are in the same boat. You haven't presented over Zoom in a minute. So um, bear with me as I work through it here. So I often set the scene in my classroom with some background music and some scenery playing on my large smartboard. And I'll talk about that a little bit later. So had you been entering my classroom right now, I would have had this playing as you walked in, normally maximized on the screen. But since we did introductions and things like that, I didn't have that playing. But that is typically the type of thing that I would have playing is something that is relaxing, something that is visually relaxing as well as calming. And it's just nice to have that in the background as the kids enter the room. I like to set the stage and have the room be as calming as possible as the kids come in. The next thing that I like to do with the kids is I like to do what's called a mindful minute. And that's something that I introduce at the beginning of the school year, as well as do every time I see the kids. Because I'm planning time for the teachers, the kids come to me every week for 51 minutes. And I see kids in grades, young fives through fifth grade. And so when they come to me, they're coming as a transition. They've had to do whatever in their classroom. They've been very busy and now they've had to get in line up and come in to see me, probably locate their library books, do whatever. And so I like to have a minute where we sit and get calm and get ready to listen, ready to learn. Now, a lot of the things about mindfulness that they'll say is that it's not necessarily to clear your mind, and that's true, but it's a good time to get aware of how your body feels, how in what state your brain is, and have a chance to just settle so that you're ready to tackle the next uh, event. So I always use the same instruction for every mindful minute. I always say to sit quietly with quiet hands and feet, eyes closed or looking down, to sit as still as you can and concentrate on your breathing. And then I always ring a chime. And this is my chime right here. It might be kind of hard for you to see in the little window with the screen. I can show it to you later on if you want to see it. Got it on Amazon. It has 2 bars. You can find one with one. You can find one with multiple. And this is what it sounds like. And the very interesting thing about the chime is that it rings for quite a long time. And that is one thing that I do with the kids to introduce a mindful minute for the very first time is I have us sit quietly and I ring the chime and I have them listen to it and see how long they can hear it. But for now, I'd like you to practice a mindful minute, having maybe done one before or maybe never have done one before. It's a nice way to get settled. You might have had to rush to get on this computer. You might have had technical difficulties. Of course, Amanda, I don't suggest doing it if you're driving, but it might be a good time to just try and settle and get ready. So you'll notice that this how to practice mindfulness has some ideas as well. So you can use that if you're working with older kids to help them practice mindfulness in their way. For us, though, I'd like to just go ahead and do it the same way that I do it with my students. So again, sitting as quietly as you can with quiet hands and feet, eyes closed or looking down, concentrating on your breathing. And let's go ahead and get started. All right. So let me stop sharing for just a second and come back to you all and ask you, what are some things that you heard during that mindful minute? There's anybody who'd like to share anything that you noticed?
The wind is blowing over here and it's making my screen door, which is not open, kind of reverberate with some very unusual noises.
Okay. That could have been my dog as well. She decided to take that moment to stand next to me and wag her tail and grumble because she's very excited about her bone. Anybody else notice anything in their environment?
Look, I'm home and
Hi,
safely
Amanda.
did the mindful minute. And I'm sat outside. So I listened to chimes and my dog barking and the cars going by.
Okay, very nice.
I could actually hear my computer, like the fan on my computer.
Okay. Very good. Okay, well, that is one thing that I'll do when I introduce a mindful minute is after being as quiet as we can, I'll ask the students what they notice in the school. And oh, the birds are back. That's nice, Laura. I agree with that. I heard those this morning. So they'll notice things that they hear in the school, like we're close to the music room. So sometimes they'll hear the music, sometimes they'll hear drumming. We're close to the playground, so sometimes they'll hear kids playing outside. Sometimes they'll hear things in the hallway. Sometimes because we're close to a bathroom, they'll hear the toilet flush or the paper towel ratcheting down. So they're pretty amazed at how much they can hear when they're pretty quiet. Okay, let me go back to my presentation here. And at this point, I'd like to go ahead and just share all my information. My email address, the link to the presentation, if you want to jot that down. I think Judy also put it in the chat. So if you want to write that down, if you want to refer to this later on, I do have a number of links and other things that you might want to use as a resource if this is helpful for you. So I'll just give you a second to write this information down. Later on, feel free to email me if you have any questions or things that you want to share with me about the presentation or anything that you think I might find helpful in mindfulness. Okay. And to move on. So let me talk about my journey to mindfulness. These students are students that were third graders at the time that I was in Clarkson schools. I worked for Clarkson schools for the majority of my teaching career up until 2017. And in about 2014, Clarkson schools got very interested in mindfulness. And they started partnering with the CRIM Foundation and sending teachers to mindfulness training through the CRIM Foundation. And it was extensive training. It wasn't just a 1 day, 1 hour or 2 hour training. It was multiple days and hours out of the classroom. And it was incredible. A lot of it focused on what we could use mindfulness for, but then what you could use it for in your classroom. And of course, it was targeted toward classroom teachers. But for me, I had to think, how can I use this in my classroom? What can I do with this? Because seeing kids once a week for, at that point, it was a half an hour a week. And now I see kids for an hour a week. What can I really do with this? It's not like I can build upon practice when I'm seeing them just for a little bit. Plus, I have my own curriculum to do, and I barely have enough time to do that. How can I fit that in? And that's why the mindful minute really became something that I felt like I could latch on to. So, fast forward to moving to the Plymouth Canton School District. And when I was there, I found that to be really helpful because I didn't know those kids. I do know that a number of those students were coming from places with trauma, and having that mindful moment at the beginning of class to get ready to listen and ready to learn and walk away from the things that might have been an issue just 5 minutes ago was really helpful. One thing I did modify in my mindful minute instruction in that school district was, instead of just close your eyes, was to close your eyes or look down, because I had learned that not all kids feel comfortable closing their eyes in a large group of people, especially if they've had some experiences that make them uneasy. And so adding that simple instruction really did help keeping the kids more on task with a mindful minute, because just by looking down, they're not distracting others and not being distracted by others. And then finally moving to Berkeley schools, it just slid right in as well. It's continued to work very well for me. And then personally, many of you know that I was in a major car accident 2 years ago, and having this experience for myself, you know, when you have major medical issues and you're going through multiple procedures, having this background and mindset just really helps, because if you know something's coming and you're able to just be calm and concentrate on your breathing and relax, it helps to cope with things so much better. So I was very grateful that I had already had this background and practice. I wouldn't have thought it was going to be such a great benefit to me, because I knew that it was working well with my students, and it was helping me in calming my students and getting them on task when they come to my class. But then for me to have that experience and apply it in my own life was very helpful. And it's not like I don't sit and meditate for half an hour, which I'm sure would be helpful as well. Just having that ability to calmly breathe and focus I felt invaluable to the way that I approached many things in the last couple of years. So that's just a little bit about me and how I came to mindfulness. So let me show you how a few things about why it's helpful to include mindfulness practices. Well, studies do show that it helps with increased focus, it helps with increased academic performance, and it does help decrease levels of stress, anxiety, depression, disruptive behavior. There are many studies about that. If you go to the source that's listed on this page, it does have some articles listed, which if you decide that you want to add some of these practices to your classroom or to your schedule, or offer things to your students, and if anybody questions you about why would you do that, you do have some things to fall back on. I think research is important, and obviously we all do. And I think that having some things to look back on and read about to understand why we do something like that, it helps. So mindful.org does have quite a few things. And plus, of course, you can always do other research on your own that might be not quite such a bend. Mindful.org, of course, has their own agenda in mind, but I'm sure you can find others as well. So this is how I introduce mindfulness to my classrooms. There are 3 videos that I show at the beginning of the year. And I use them to reintroduce mindfulness throughout the year because sometimes kids need a refresher. You can imagine that sitting quietly for a minute with their eyes closed or looking down and concentrating on their breathing sometimes starts to get old or they start to get a little disruptive because, Mrs. Gordon has her eyes closed. But of course, I don't have my eyes closed the whole time. I frequently take peeks to make sure that we're all safe. But one way I like to introduce it to the youngest students is instead of doing a true mindful minute where we're all just closing their eyes and concentrating on our breathing, is talking about how our brains are very busy. And a lot of times when we're very busy, we need to take a minute to calm down. And this Hearts Falling glitter jar is a great video to share and to have the students watch and to watch the glitter fall and get still at the bottom. I frequently ask them, what happens if you shake something up and just let it sit? And they talk about how everything will fall to the bottom. And so I said, that's what will happen if we sit still and calm down. Everything just settles down. And so that's why I like to use this Hearts Falling glitter jar. And honestly, I continue to go back to that throughout the year because if students are having a hard time with the mindful minute and I can sense that it will be a difficulty, I'll use that video instead of a mindful minute. And they're much better at focusing on the screen in times when they're a little busy than just doing a true mindful minute. So I'm going to share that with you. It's obviously only a minute, and it's truly just a simple way to introduce mindful minutes as well as to drag this out of the way. There we go. Oops, I didn't mean to do that. Come on. Back. Okay, here we go. Okay, so as I said, super short and sweet, but just that music and the glitter falling really helps the students focus, and it really works. So the next video is one that I show to second and third graders that helps them to understand a little bit better why we do a mindful minute. And sometimes kids want a why. And this one really helps to explain how a mindful minute can be effective at not just calming down, but with emotions as well. And so this is another one that I use.
I get really mad when my brother hits me a lot. I don't like it when you say you don't want to play with me. When I'm mad, my brain can get a headache and it can start hurting. Your blood keeps pumping because you're like really mad. And you start to get sweaty because you're getting really, really mad. And then when you start getting really mad, you turn red. When your body can't really control yourself, mad just takes over your body. I just get out of control. It's kind of like if you had a jar and then the jar would be your brain and then you put glitter in the jar and that would be how you would feel. If you shook up the jar and the glitter went everywhere, that would be how your mind looks. And it's like spinning around and then you don't want anything to think. And you sometimes punch stuff and people when you don't really mean it. When I get angry, I feel it in my heart. I really don't like when I get angry. The amygdala really reacts, but the prefrontal cortex tries to keep it down. When I feel like I want to, get really angry, and I just sometimes, take a breath. First you find a place where you can be alone. Then you find some way to relax and calm down. When I need to calm down, I take deep breaths. I breathe in through my nose. Sometimes I close my eyes or just take deep breaths. It's coming down, it's not moving. It's slowing down and then it stops. The heart pumps slow and then it goes into your brain. All the sparkles are at the bottom of your brain. My brain slows down and then I feel more calm and then I'm ready to speak to that person.
Come on. I don't want you to be full screen anymore. Okay. Let's do this. We're gonna get out of that. Hi. And we're gonna try this again. What's going on? Why can't I get out of full screen? Escape, maybe. There we go. Escape. Okay. Use your tools. All right. So I love that video. I love the way, obviously the kids, some of it's scripted, especially the talking about the brain. But I love the way it starts out and then toward the end, you feel yourself calming down with the video. I really like that. All right. And then finally, the last video I'd like to share, I use with the older students, 4th and 5th graders, because it really does show why I use a mindful minute in my classroom. And I think those older kids need to understand this is why I do it. And this is why it can help you to participate and follow along. Here we go.
Okay, voice is up in front. Voice is up right now. I don't know how they do it. They go from one class to a passing period, then back to another class with a completely different subject.
You go through the day without feeling how you feel. You just wake up, do your morning routine, go to school, come back home, and you don't stop, And with mindfulness, you do stop.
Mindful body, feet are flat on the floor, become aware of your body. So just notice your body. Mindful minute usually happens at the start of class. What I'm trying to do is give them a chance to arrive, is to give them a chance to make it all the way into the room with their bodies and their awareness. I'm going to turn off my voice and let you breathe for a couple of minutes without my voice.
She tells us to listen to our breathing and recognize the fact that you are breathing, letting you stop for a minute, just reflect on yourself and how you feel.
When I was really stressing and worrying about stuff, when I took these mindful minutes, it's like, I'm going to be fine. I'm going to get through this. It's a very easy, very simple way to help kids arrive, to quiet down their nervous systems and help the brain turn on and get learning ready.
Okay. So, like I said, I really like that one because it shows what the teacher does. It's very similar to what I do. And it's the kids telling how it helps them as well as why the teacher does it as well. That's why I find that one effective. Okay. So that's how I introduce it and how I reinforce it. And here are some easy ways to integrate mindfulness in your library. First of all, setting the scene. Like I said, near the beginning, I love having music playing in the library on my big screen with the calming scenes, the calming music. Each week I look for a different video. I always look for blank with calming music. So depends on what kind of thing I'm looking for. This week what did I want this week? I can't remember what I looked for. But I'll look for, coral reef, or I'll look for, lava lamp, or I'll look for ocean waves, or, campfire, and all kinds of things, whatever kind of, I'm thinking of that week. And that's what I have. Valentine's week, I looked for baby animals, and oh my gosh, I'll have to put that one up again because the kids were crazy for it. Just having something with changing scenes and calming music. They love it. It's peaceful. They enjoy it. Anything with sea turtles, oh my gosh. They love that. So setting the scene. I have a couple of different lamps in the library, so I don't have all of my lights on. I have a few turned off, so it's not all of that fluorescent light. I think that's helpful. If that works for you, that's great. I had a meeting this afternoon where we walked in and half the lights were turned off, and my colleague said, "Oh my gosh, I hate this. We got to turn the lights on." So that's not for everybody. And obviously the mindful minute, mindful moment type thing. There are a ton of mindful moment videos that you can find. If you're not, if you want to start this, but you're not comfortable using the chime and asking the kids to do a mindful minute and sit quietly, there are a ton of videos that you can look for that just have either ocean waves or rain falling or the glitter jar that I showed you. There's this one, there's this one here. It's count to 5.
Have you ever heard someone say, "Let's take 5"? It means to take a quick break, a little time away from whatever you're doing.
So you can find a lot of different things like that. All you have to do is search for mindful minute, mindful moment. So you can try it any way you'd like. Another thing that you can do is you can, if you have a website, you can link different things to your website for the kids to explore. One thing is virtual calming rooms. I found these a couple of years ago and oh my gosh, I love them. This one comes from the Sacramento, a school district out in Sacramento. And you can see that it started during the pandemic, but there's so much linked here that it is really incredible. There's sounds of music, guided meditations, relaxation, things if kids need support. There's links for that. And it's not just Sacramento area, it's nationwide. If you wanted to create one, you could use a lot of the things found here and then add things specifically for your area. There's yoga, live animal cameras. I love those things. Where you can color and be creative, mindfulness, exercise, all kinds of different things. So this is just one that I found. If you look up calming rooms, you can find a lot of different things that are available online in your area. Not just, I'm sorry, I didn't mean in your area. Just a lot of things available online. Once I finally had some time, I created my own calming room because, I'm that kind of person. I have a website and I like things that I've created to be on it. So this is my calming room. I created on a Bitmoji classroom. And as I tell the kids, everything's clickable except the plant and the rug. And then the kids have to tell me, but Mrs. Gordon, the plant is clickable because my click goes all the way up to the plant. But everything takes you somewhere. So if you click on me, it takes, oh, that's the lava lamp. If you click on the lava lamp, it takes you to, this is like one of the calming videos that I share in my classroom with calming music and visuals. If you click on me, it's a meditation. If you click on the light switch, it's something about turning off, and then you just sit there and be off for a minute. It's kind of cool. The bear is live animal cams. This is dog TV, where you watch dogs running through the woods and the water, and it's pretty awesome. Sketchpad, where you can draw sandcastles. Oh, the kids love this one because it's kinetic sand. I don't know if you've ever watched these, the kids call them satisfying videos, but watching this one is really kind of compelling. You just watch them cut sand, kinetic sand, and it's pretty cool. But I won't let us get taken down that rabbit hole. Then there's this one, which is drawing with silk, which is so cool. I mean, the kids love it. It always takes me a while to figure it out. So you just start drawing with your mouse, and it makes these beautiful pictures that are very wispy and just very cool. And it's really neat. And then the cat is another one of those videos where there's relaxing music and sleeping cats. And the kids love that one. So I've created there, and then of course the books are stories, and they're kind of social emotional learning stories that if the kids want to watch them, they're welcome to. Rubik's Cube, putting together puzzle, lots of different things. So that is my calming room that I created, and that's oftentimes an option for them when they come to the library after they finish finding their book, doing their things. Well, you can always go to the calming room, and a lot of them enjoy that. And then of course, Go Noodle activities. If you go to Go Noodle, there is a whole channel called Flow, where it's mindfulness exercises. And there's a number of things there. Light as a feather. That is one that I'll use sometimes instead of a mindful minute. That on and off is the light switch that I have on my calming room. Weather the storm, bring it down. Those are all things that are helpful. Rainbow breath is how to breathe. There's another one called bear breath, I think. That must be under. There's another one called Breathe, I think, that has a lot of different breathing exercises. The swirling is what I have on my calming room under the glitter jars. So that's kind of cool. And then, of course, having just books in your collection. This right here is a link to a collection in my Follett Destiny of books that we have in Berkeley schools that are related to mindfulness, yoga, easing anxiety, just some things that I know that we have in Berkeley schools. Obviously, that is not a be all or end all list by any means, but there are a number of things here where if you want to look at some things and get started, there are some things here for you to take a look at and maybe think about adding to your collection. So there's a few things there for you to think about. And then, oh, I don't want you to start. Stop. A few things to keep in mind. This, you cannot breathe your way out of a toxic situation. When somebody tells you to relax, usually you don't want to hear it. Usually it's not very helpful. And it's something that you have to come to on your own. And then, of course, remember that I love the note on the refrigerator door. Good vibes are big business, because there are a lot of companies that have their fingers in the social emotional learning pie. And, you've got to pick and choose what you want to do, what you want to use, what's the best thing, and making sure that you're using what's best for you and your students in your school. So really taking a look at that. Obviously, we're pretty good at that as librarians. I do have a page of additional resources, and I'll go through those, but I want to come back to you all right now and see if anybody has anything to share, any questions you might have, anything you might want to add. So I've been talking for a fair amount here, and I don't want to just the whole time. So I want to give you all a chance. And Ziva wants to say hi, apparently. She wants to know that all of you to see her hedgehog.
Lynn, have you seen a difference, over time in the way that the kids are when they're with you? Do they seem to use these strategies when they're not, or do they talk about that?
What I can say is the kids know that they're going to do a mindful minute when they come in. It's one of the very first things we do. And so they expect it. And it does help us to reset and get ready for my time with them. If for some reason, which happens very rarely, if I'm scattered and I have in my mind, okay, we've got to do this and this and this today, and I skip it, invariably somebody will raise their hand and say, hey, aren't we going to do that breathing thing today? Or aren't we going to do that minute? So I can't say 100% of my students love it, but I do know that it benefits some. And if it benefits some, it's important enough for us to take a minute and do it. Out of a 51-minute class, I think it's important enough. So, yeah. I don't know that anybody else in my school does. I know that when I was in Clarkston, it did help us all quite a bit, because we weren't just implementing that. There were other things in place. Walking in the hall, different procedures and processes throughout the day. Okay, well, I will go back and I'll share with you some of the other additional resources that I have. I do have other video resources. This website here has a lot of, oh dear. Of course, when you go on this thing, you're going to have to close out of a lot of pop-ups, but it's worth it. I use this page a lot. And so having this link for you, I think, is helpful, even if it's a pain to deal with. These mindful minutes videos are the ones that I'll use sometimes if the kids are having a hard time with just sitting quietly doing a mindful minute. So while these are silent, the water, the rain, the snow, the river, the waterfall, having something to focus on does help them be more calm sometimes. What else is here? There's some other things here that I've not taken advantage of. These relaxing backgrounds I've used, you'll recognize the lava lamp. I use that. There's a few things that they've knocked out. This Aurora Borealis is pretty awesome. I use this soap bubble. They love that. And then I haven't really used these positive affirmations. And then there's just a lot of things here that if you want to try some different stuff, you can use it. So it's a helpful website. You just got to watch all the pop-ups. It's a pain. Remember that when I talked about when we started mindfulness in Clarkston, we went through the Crim Foundation. At that time, they were doing a lot of training in many places. Now they focus most of their training, it seems, in Flint, because they are located in Flint. However, their website has some things that you can access. There are some videos and some audio recordings that you can use to help you get into the mindfulness game. And like I said, they're the ones that led our training, and I found it very helpful. You might listen to these or watch these and might be like, nope, not for me. But they were awesome working with us. Follett has an social emotional learning page with a lot of different resources for educators. One of the things that I found most helpful on this page, I thought, was the choice board for educators. And that is just something to take a minute to focus on yourself. There's different short videos and TED Talks and things like that on this page that you can refer to and listen in on. Things about being kind to yourself, leaning on someone else for help, and taking a quiz to see how mindful you are. So there's a number of things here, and each thing has a link for it. Here's one about, bad days, and someone shares what she does when she has a bad day. So there's a lot of different things here that could be helpful to help your social emotional learning. Calming apps. I have Headspace. It's free for educators. If you go on there, and I logged in the other day, so it should come up with me logged in. Of course it doesn't. But I'm sure many of you have seen it. I wanted to point out, educators are free. There's a link right here to sign up for the discount. So, or not discount, but to have it free for you. So if you feel like doing that, you can either look it up or you can go through the link on this presentation and start your free subscription through that. There are all kinds of meditations and different things. Again, like I said, when I had my accident, there were some times that I just opened one up and just listened to it. And it can be very helpful just to have someone lead you through a guided meditation to kind of come back to yourself and calm down. Calm is a for fee app. However, they do have Calm Schools, and that is also a paid subscription, but they do have some free tools. So you can get 30 days of mindfulness for the classroom, and they also have a downloadable self-care guide for teachers. So those are some free resources for you. And I honestly think that using that 30 days of mindfulness in the classroom, if you want to use it for the kids or use it for you, either one, it sounds pretty awesome. And I had Calm free for a little while, and I really like Calm. I think Headspace is great. I wish I could get Calm for free because they've got some great stuff. If you sign up for Calm, there is some free content. It's very limited, but their sleep stories are awesome. So if that's something that sounds like you would benefit from it, you could pay for it, but they do have some free stuff. And that, of course, is accessible through the link here, or you can search for it. Mindful Schools. I did link directly to some things that I thought you might find helpful here. Some things that are new. This Take 5 classroom activity is kind of neat. And the Mindful Schools approach, there's some different stuff here. These courses are, you have to pay for, but there's some great stuff that's available through their website. And then finally, well, not quite finally, mindful.org. That is where I've linked some research, but this mindfulness for kids has a lot of stuff. You'll notice that this page is very long, does not really follow web guidelines in any way, but there is a lot of different things here that you can take a look and find some great information, topics, things to use. And then finally, there was just an NPR article about mindfulness, but they were talking about this Inner Explorer program that some school districts are using. I had not heard of it. It's something that school districts are paying for, and it's a daily mindfulness practice. It sounded really cool. Obviously, I'm not in any school using it. I can't imagine my school district paying for it, but it sounded pretty neat. If you want, I wanted to include it here so that if you wanted to take a look and see if it was something you might be interested in, either for your school or bringing to your school district. I did link the NPR article here as well, although Inner Explorer also has it on their website. But it's a pretty cool app, it sounded like, and it sounded like they had some really cool stuff. And the article itself has some interesting things about how that Inner Explorer is affecting the students and how they're using it. So I just wanted to share that with you, even though I don't have any experience with it, know nothing about it. I'm not benefiting it from it in any way. But let's, no, I don't want to do that. Anyway, there's my girls. Let me stop share here and come back to you. Okay, so that's about all I have to share with you. Again, is there anything that anybody would like to add? Any programs or things that they've experienced, any apps they've used, anything they want to bring to the group that they think might be helpful?
Lynn, I just added a question to the chat, but I can say it too.
Okay.
So like, I don't have anything to share. I'm just thinking about the students that I serve, and I'm thinking about times I've tried to do things like this in the past and how they've worked, with some mixed results. But like, I think especially this year, I have so many kids who are choosing to process their trauma in ways that externalize a lot of it. And I think that as I'm visualizing that, I think even the quiet and the stillness beyond just like the keeping your eyes closed or open part, I think the quiet and the stillness would be threatening.
Yeah.
I think that being alone, being quiet with their thoughts would be extremely upsetting for a lot of these kids, because the way that they're dealing with stuff is screaming, and pushing it all out onto everyone else.
Sure.
I know I've read some of that in some of the articles that I've read about mindfulness in the schools, but I haven't really heard anyone talk about, okay, so what do you do with that other than don't do mindfulness? So I was wondering if you had any other thoughts.
Unfortunately, I don't. And Julie, I remember that your school was one where it was like, whoa, okay. Yeah, I don't have any skill other than what I've learned myself. I'm not an expert. And I can imagine that, like I said, I know that for those students that when I realized closing their eyes in a group was too much to ask, making this simple accommodation of look down,
Right.
It worked. But for students who can't bear to be still and quiet, that's a lot. And so I wonder, is, yeah, how do you get kids to get ready to listen and ready to learn when their whole bodies are ready to fight or fly, right?
Right. And like all the time. And I've struggled with this in general with a lot of PD that just feels like it's kind of missing this point. Like we talk so much about trauma in kids, but we don't talk about kids traumatizing other kids in the classroom, really.
Right.
We talk about the trauma as if it's something that always happens outside of the school at home. And that's not what I'm seeing in real life. I'm seeing in my classroom that there is additional trauma being created, and I don't feel like I have power to stop it, which is traumatizing to me that I am like breeding more trauma. So anyway, I was just looking like if anyone else was looking at this or working on this or thinking about this, because I keep reading these articles and they mention this, but then they never like talk anymore about it.
Yeah.
I just wonder if some of the activities that Lynn shared where there is like a screen for them to watch and there is some sound, so it's not completely quiet. And if it's like a minute's too much, then do 45, you know what I mean? Like, I don't know if that would help some of those kids more than just totally being silent, but it still might help them calm a little bit.
I mean, I think on some of the younger grades it does, but like when they get a little bit older, I think that it's an adaptation that some of our kids are using to try to keep themselves safe. And like this, like pushing things out and externalizing them and like distracting themselves seems to be a big part of it. And so like anytime that they have to stop talking, really. I mean, like it makes instruction difficult, and not just in the library, but like all over the school.
Yeah. Yeah. Like, yeah, what does the trauma-informed classroom have to say about that? And they don't yet, right?
Right. Well, I mean,
Yeah.
they do that. I haven't found that article. That's what I'm looking for.
Right. Right. Oof. I'm sorry.
Well, if anyone ever sees it, I'd be interested in that.
Yeah, thank you. Just this summer, I was able to participate in it was a social emotional learning / trauma type curriculum coming out from the University of Michigan, but I only got to look at a piece of it. And I think it's supposed to be coming to, I don't know, social workers everywhere. I don't know. But it looked like it was going to be quite good. But again, is it going to look at that piece where like the trauma isn't just outside the school? It's also happening here. Yeah. All right. Thank you. All right. Anybody else?
I don't have a question. I just wanted to thank you for sharing what you're doing. And it has me thinking too I know the focus of this was bringing it to the library, but as I'm listening to some of the techniques and strategies that you're using, it's almost making me wonder like where we might weave this into PD that we're offering for teachers and staff. Just as you started us out today with a mindful moment,
Mhm.
I think it's so, we are all on a hamster wheel and there's always so much to do that it's just so easy to take these strategies and push them aside, even though that's what we need most and can help us be more productive over here. So you've got me thinking about where we might weave some of this in. So thank you for sharing.
You're welcome. You're welcome. And in that slideshow, there's a bunch of things linked. Feel free to either duplicate my calming room or send your kids to it, or obviously use it to create your own as a springboard. That's what I did. I found a few things online that I took from here and took from here and took from here and put that together. So feel free. It's out there and available. I've linked to it in that slideshow. You can email me at any time and ask me for anything and I'll help you if I can.
Thank you so much, Lynn.
You bet. It's great to see everybody.
So just a couple quick things. We have 2 meetings left this year, and our April one is going to be presented by a team from Plymouth, Carrie Fromm, who's now at RISA, but was from Plymouth, around the curriculum work that, and I know we have a lot of Plymouth folks here on the call too. And then May will be connected to some technology, but I wanted to just give a precursor to next year's meetings, because there is no sweet spot that's perfect for everybody. It's like whatever daytime you give, like it works for some, it doesn't work for all. So we're trying something different again next year. So pre-COVID, we were all day in person, COVID all virtual. The last couple years, we've been working around this hybrid model. So next year, what we're doing is what you see there on the screen. And 2 of the days are going to be full day, and we're going to be connecting them to the instructional technology leaders meeting. We did this before COVID because knowing that you guys wear so many hats, and one of the hats you wear is that of a technology leader in your building. And so those days we will have portions that will be dedicated to, you know, kind of separate. If we have some things that are pertinent to just library media leaders, but there will also be opportunities to combine together, so that will be those full days. And then we're going to do just one after school virtual. We adjusted the time a little bit based on some feedback, particularly from our elementary folks that have a hard time getting here at 4 o'clock. And then the November 5th one, that is the regionalized PD. We did that this year. And the goal of that, after listening to the curriculum leaders, was a lot of the support folks or people that are as a specialist teacher, typically that's the election day, oftentimes are put into PD that's not relevant to them. And so having a day dedicated, if you can come, for things that will be relevant to this group. So if you have any ideas or things that you would like to be a part of any of these meetings, please just send me an email and let me know, and we can weave that in. So is there, you'd have to put it in the chat because I'm sharing my screen right now, but is there anybody going to McCall this year? I know Laura and I are planning to be there. It's in Grand Rapids this year. And hopefully in our May meeting, we'll be doing some share out for those that were not able to be there, but it's coming up quickly. All right, so I see Kathy's going. Awesome. This was mentioned before, but I just wanted to mention it again, that we do have added to our Maker Lending Library now 10 Nintendo Switches, 10 of the portable monitors. So if you or somebody in your school is looking to dabble in esports, perhaps it's something in school, maybe an after school club, and you'd like to borrow these, just want to let you know that those are now in our lending library and are available to be used. And I put this one up here, it's kind of as a reminder to myself that Tuesday is our instructional technology leaders meeting, and Melinda Waffle from REMC is going to be coming to share a couple of the newer resources on the REMC website. One of them is going to be pertaining to cybersecurity. Another one is technology skills. And then the third one is this one here, the Power Up Curriculum and Content Development. So they're all linked on the REMC website, but like I said, Melinda is going to take a deep dive into all of those. And I just wanted to make you guys aware of that in case you wanted to attend on Thursday. Again, it will be virtual just like it is today. And so if you are, I would encourage you to register or send me an email and I can get you the link for registering for that. But again, that's going to be our Tuesday ITL meeting at the same time as it was tonight. And then just a kind of an FYI that the National Educational Technology Plan, which was last updated, I want to say 2016, has just been updated this past January. So most likely in one of our meetings next year, we're going to take a little bit of a dive into that, but wanted to just bring that to your attention in case you were unaware that that it has been updated, and that AI is I feel like that's the talk of the town lately, with all the technologies coming out, different apps coming out, media literacy, information literacy, things that are very much a part of the work that we do as library media specialists. AI literacy is, I guess, the newest literacy that is critical. And so again, this is more of just an awareness that this act has been proposed. And the whole point of this is to basically codify AI literacy as a part of digital literacy, which again is already some of the work that you guys are doing, and just highlighting the importance of AI literacy for all students K-12 and increasing access to AI literacy for our students. So it's kind of just proposed right now, but again, wanted to put that on your radar because so much of this is connected to the work that you guys are doing. And the summer reading challenge, I think I put this on last month, but in case you missed it, this is the summer reading challenge that many of the public libraries are going to be doing this summer, but in there is Smokey Bear's 80th birthday. And they just have a lot of, so even if you're not participating in it yourself, but I wanted to bring to your attention just some of the reading material that they have there as well, which is really helpful. And Kathy, I'm going to pass it to you for these next few.
Okay, so I have for the Michigan Association for School Librarians, we're collecting names of people that are interested in supporting school libraries, and we're working with legislators on possible legislation for both information literacy and just more support for school libraries. And so it would be nice to go to the legislators and say, wow, over 1,000 people signed the statement in support. So that's what we're looking for here. And we're up over 700 when I looked earlier. But so please sign and share if you haven't done so already. And next, and then the school librarian preparation standards. So these are for like Wayne State's program. It's the only program in Michigan right now preparing school librarians to bring it up to date with the AASL preparation standards. And this went to the Board of Education in January, and then it's out right now for public comment. And we've seen a few, well, right at the board meeting, one of the State Board of Ed members wants to add things in here, you know, about avoiding pornography in the library and all of that kind of thing. And we're afraid that we're going to get some public comment that are going to derail, because this is a normal process of just updating these standards. And it just so happens that it's happening at a time where there's all this scrutiny around school libraries. So we really want this, these update to go forward. And so if you can, the form for doing feedback is actually pretty simple. You can just say, yes, I looked at the document, and yes, I support it. Like that's, and then you just kind of say, you don't have to give your name or anything, but you kind of give more demographics of, yes, I'm an educator from this area, that sort of thing. So we really are asking people to make comments just in case there's some anti-library comments. If you've got a group of people out there doing that, then we've got enough to counterbalance that when they're looking at the comments. So that's what that is. Also real quick, the proposed update is to update the language for the term to be school librarian versus library media specialist to align with the national standards. And so we'll see what happens with that. The other thing, Maisel is working on putting together a read-in And initially there's a committee working on this, and they were trying to have it only on Saturday, April 13th. And they got a lot of feedback that that was too inflexible. You know, a lot of people couldn't do that date. They might be interested in being involved. So they really opened it up so that choose any time between April 1 and April 13th, and just, you know, try to do some type of reading event during school library month, basically. And so again, it's a way for us to, when we go to Library Advocacy Day, we can say, oh, this many people participated, and, you know, our libraries were really busy, that sort of thing. So that's what that's about. And plus, just to let you know too, there was a every library and book riot survey on parent perceptions of school libraries. And a lot of it in there, it's like 95% of parents want their students to have a school library. 85% of parents trust their school library and all of those things. But the statistic about was like less than 40% of parents knew or had met their school librarian. So by doing something, you know, during that type of read-in or things like that, to give parents an opportunity to know who their school librarian is, if, you know, that if you're not already, for many of us, we're already doing some things, but it's just another way. The next thing is that this Right to Read documentary, we partnered with the Michigan Education Justice Coalition on a event back a while ago, and got to talk a little bit about access to school libraries, and there were parents who attended, and a wide variety of people. So it was a really nice event. So now they've asked us to try to have a watch party kind of thing for this Right to Read film, documentary film. And again, knowing that people are really busy and trying to get everybody to come on just one particular day doesn't always work. So what we worked out with them is that you can watch at your own convenience for free. And then later, once we have that list of people that have watched, we'll try to get a time or 1 or 2 times or dates to kind of meet and talk about it, and how school librarians can support the science of reading. Because this film, when we hear Right to Read as school librarians, we're thinking about intellectual freedom, but this film is not necessarily about that. It's about reading and being able to read as a social justice issue. And also they touch on the idea of how kids are taught to read is also important. So, and there's some current laws in Michigan going through the legislative process right now. They've passed out of the Senate Education Committee and have gone to the full Senate floor that are around dyslexia, but they also have things buried in them about teaching and using the science of reading as a way to support students. So I really think it's an important concept for school librarians to understand and to be able to support in their schools. So that's what that is. And then Maisels reached out to legislators to ask them to share some of their favorite books and either a picture or a little video. And I'm getting lots of responses, like the legislators seem really excited about this. So we're going to put something together and then share it out to everyone else to share with their communities. And that's one of the input that I got was from Representative Carrie Reagans, and she recommended The Legend of Michigan. And so we were just thinking that if people were interested in trying to do something, you know, very simple, they could reach out to their school stakeholders to share some of their favorite books and do something different similar, but on more of a local level than that state level. And again, another way to like let people know that the school library is supporting reading in a positive way, and look at it as a celebration. Then Michigan Library Advocacy Day is April 16th. If you can, it's a school day, of course. So if anyone is interested in joining us, we'd love to have you. It's always, I know that people that came last year for the first time landed up really enjoying it. And, you know, Maisel provides everything to make it easy for you. And Michigan Library Association as well, but Maisel specifically around the school library things. And we also make sure that the school library advocates have time to get together and talk to while we're there. And then this is an ASL effort, and they're working with Project Look Sharp on an IMLS project for librarians as leaders for media literacy. And there's a course, and if you're interested in taking that course, you need to contact them soon to be a part of it. And there's the email there, looksharp@ithaca.edu. And what that project is really about is we're trying to look at ways to integrate media literacy into schools and classrooms in New York, because Ithaca College is in New York. And when they just reached out to educators in general, they were having a really hard time. But once they reached out to school librarians, they're like, yeah, hey, we do that. So they developed some curriculum and some ideas around school librarians collaborating with teachers, as well as training other teachers about this. And so now they're trying to scale that project to be more nationwide instead of just New York, is to, you know, take advantage of the power of school librarians in this media literacy. So, and there's a new NAMLE report. I didn't put that from the National Association for Media Literacy Education that basically is saying the same thing, that they did a survey of what kind of things are happening with media literacy education. And of course, the majority of the input they got was from school librarians that are teaching it. And so one of their recommendations on a national scale is to take advantage of the power of school librarians to scale that media literacy education. So something we're trying to bring to Michigan as well. All right.